My girlfriend is a super sub. So I'm feeling like not a masochistic brat. And has a CNC kink. But I am also a submissive male. Do you think this method would work for me to effectively act as a dom by commanding her to do what I wish she would do to me? Maybe that doesn't make too much sense, but I'm trying to make it work. We are fantastic. We are a fantastic match outside of the bedroom, but during sex things, they've been too vanilla. She can't be dominant, but I've been easing into the idea of being the dom. I just need certain things to turn me on that involve her doing things to me. I don't really get turned on by going on the attack, if you know what I mean. I just need help, and I'm not sure how to move forward. Okay. Woo! Let's break this down. We have a super sub with a CNC kink he labels himself as a submissive male, but he acknowledges that he's a switch. He acknowledges that he's been easing into the idea of being the dominant, okay? So there's an open door, CNC, consensual non-consent, yes. So easing into the idea of being a dom. So there's an open door there. And then he goes on to say, I just need certain things or triggers, so to speak, to turn me on that involve her doing things to him. So he's expressing the fact that he has some desires from a top perspective. I feel like we have a submissive switch on our hands. But although he identifies himself as a submissive male, he's actually a submissive switch. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like we need to start there. Makes sense? Is anyone else seeing that? So I think, and he's identifying that she is not a switch. And I think that's what cued me in additionally to the super sub. Is she's a super sub with the CNC kink. And CNC is all about, I want to be overpowered and handled. But he goes, I don't really get turned on by going on the attack. So I feel like maybe they've had this conversation before where she's trying to explain that kind of energy. I want to feel like predatory, right? I want you to feel kind of predatory and on the attack, so to speak. But he's going, I don't get turned on by being on the attack. That indicates to me that he is a more soft dom type. So we have a submissive switch soft dom is the conclusion I'm coming to right now. So, because this is where we have to start. Because really, everything is very, very simple. We just have to get it in its right categories. So, we've got that going on. So, he doesn't know how to move forward. Here's my advice. I think potentially, and this is something that Miss Elle's Kitten and myself are going to do some podcasts about, I think potentially the CNC kink might be expressing an unmet need. And I think maybe if this submissive switch soft dom starts infusing smaller, more manageable acts of dominance, that CNC kink might die down and he will feel empowered and she will feel like she's getting her needs met too. That's what I'm seeing here. So, and I'll break down kind of what led me to that. Too vanilla. So I think this is maybe more her complaint because he's going, I don't get turned on by going on the attack. So things have been too vanilla. So I think if this soft dom switch type, if you were start doing things that not a full CNC scene where it is a start to finish role play, okay? Because you're saying that doesn't get you in that space, right? She wants you in that space, but it doesn't really get you in that space. But I need to be in that space to do what she likes. What do? I understand your frustration. It seems very, very confusing. I think what needs to happen here is you need to infuse smaller, more manageable acts. So ask her, sit down and ask her, what things does she like about CNC? If she says she has a CNC kink, what does she like about it? Get these questions out of her. Is it a feeling? Is it an act? Is it a phrase that you could say? Is it an outfit? Is it an accessory? Is it a combination of the two? What about it really gets to her that sinks her into subspace in the way that she's looking for? There's something about CNC play that she gets. She gets something positive out of it. Ask her what that is. And then I would start infusing things like that throughout your dynamic and throughout your play, especially your sexy time, okay? Whenever things are too vanilla, maybe if you were to just, see, I don't know what I can say without getting here on YouTube, but if you were to do some things that physically made you more dominant. Is anyone getting what I'm saying? Two people talking, dominant, submissive. Okay. If you were to, I'm going to have to start miming things, maybe do a little bit of, I have something on my neck, you guys. That's all I'm doing. I just have something on my neck. That's all I'm doing. Okay. That's all I'm doing. Maybe things like that. I also, you guys, I need to brush my hair back a little bit. Oh, I need to brush my hair back a little bit, you guys. Things like that might start bridging that gap. So I think if you were to infuse elements like that into your sexy time, hey, I can do some kinky charades. Absolutely. Let's do it. Well, here's the thing, naughty seductress. I never advise that to solve a problem. Never, ever bring a third or fourth or whatever party into your relationship to solve a problem. Because all you're going to do is bring that third party into your problem. I also don't think seeking out professional help should ever be your first option, because the goal of BDSM and the goal of relationship and the goal of DS in relationship is to build connection, is to build intimacy. When you and your partner, even if it's consensual, start connecting with other people, oh, that is lessening a connection here. If it's a professional, I'm now looking to that professional to meet the need versus trying to figure out how that need can be met in my current relationship. Yes, if you and your partner get to the place where you are happy, you're content, and you would like to open the relationship, you would like to explore different dynamics, I think that's great, as long as you and your partner have fully communicated, fully consented, and are both fully confident and comfortable with it. In situations like this, I think it's a lack of communication 95% or more of the time. And I'm feeling that here very much so, where there's kind of this stereotypical, both of them are kind of looking at CNC play or that kink through a very, very stereotypical lens, possibly a very rigid role play lens, and there's no flexibility in how those elements can be executed outside of that scene. And I think if those elements are executed outside of the scene, both parties will actually find a tremendous amount of fulfillment without having to put in the work of bringing in someone else and facilitating that, or all of the additional communication that goes into having an open relationship, or meeting with a professional and setting boundaries around all of that. So I think it saves everyone time and emotional heartache, really, if you just start there. Yes, you can work your way into those other things if need be, but I think the majority of the time, people are just not talking. And when they are talking, it's not effective communication. And it's a shame that no one really teaches these communication techniques because they're very vital. And that's part of what we do in my dominant training sessions is we break down what is being said, what's not being said, and all of the nuances that take place in the dynamic. So I would advise our couple to have some conversations for the dominant in this who views yourself as a submissive male. I think what you've identified is that you are a submissive switch, and when you switch, it's more of a soft dom. You don't get very predatory and aggressive unless there's a sexual element, unless you're sexually aroused. So start there. And I think what you said about commanding in a scene, commanding your very submissive girlfriend to do acts that pleased you, as long as those acts aren't on her limit list, I think that's a really, really great way of starting to flex your dominant muscles. And maybe you're doing things or having her do things that arouse you and get you in that vibe and get you in that energy. And once you get there, then you can start amping up the aggression or maybe moving into that kind of CNC role play or something like that she would like. But I think it's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself by expecting you to go from zero dominant energy to CNC role play. I think you're going to need to build your way into it. And I think your open door, as you said, is through sexual arousal. And in doing so, I think it will absolutely build that sense of submission she's looking for, that gap in the power exchange that she's looking for, and maybe that intensity. And go back to some of the gestures that I did before. Take some notes there, all right?